Hi everybody, my name is Sean. Welcome back to another episode of Lines in Wax. In this video, we will be ranking the Mushroomhead studio albums to date. It's early 2022, at least at the time I'm recording this audio, and we're going to go through every Mushroomhead album that's been released up until now. Maybe they'll drop more in the future, I don't know, but these are just the 10 records that I'm going to talk about today. Mushroomhead are one of my favourite bands of all time. They're one of the first bands that I really got into when I was a teenager. I'm also going to do, or have done, depending on the order of these videos, a Mushroomhead complete discography retrospective video, which will be a much more in-depth look at Mushroomhead and their evolution from 1993 all the way through to 2022. That will be linked below if you were interested. For now, though, let's just talk about Mushroomhead's albums from, in my opinion, from worst to best. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I hate it if it's worst. In Mushroomhead's case, there are some records that I really dislike, but most of the time with these rankings that I do, just because the record's in last place doesn't mean that I hate the record. Although it's a bit blurry here in this case. So at number 10 then, starting off, my least favourite Mushroomhead record is 2010's Beautiful Stories for Ugly Children. Just to give a bit of context, I got into Mushroomhead through XX and then 13. So when they came back with a new vocalist with Save Your Sorrow, I really didn't get into that because... But I mean, it grew on me eventually, but at first, it wasn't so much the new vocalist. Waylon was great, but the production was such a step down. It was so hollow and weird. But at least that album had good songs. Beautiful Stories for Ugly Children is not, it doesn't even have that. So it's got that crappy, hollow, weird, and just rubbish production. And then it's got just most boring, chuggy metal. It's really just uninspired and just boring. It's just really boring. It just all blurs into one. Every song, not every song, but most songs kind of sound the same. It's just not very good. And it's a shame because this was an era where the band really looked amazing. Their masks were really cool, and they would, 4 years later, like kind of bounce back with something really cool. But Beautiful Stories is the low point for me. It's not to say it's all bad. There's some good songs here. I like Holes in the Void with Jeffrey Nothing. Like that is like, is a really good song. He's really strong vocally on that. And I also, despite it being like a beacon of what this album sounds like, the opening track, Come On, is actually pretty catchy. Come on! Oh man, yeah, it's terrible, but I like it. Also, the track Slaughterhouse Road, wasn't this album supposed to be called Slaughterhouse Road? I don't know, I always thought it was called Slaughterhouse Road, but there we go. Yeah, number 10, Beautiful Stories, not for me. I could happily never listen to that album ever again. Number 9 is Save Your Sorrow, similar kind of era, 4 years prior to Beautiful Story, Save Your Sorrow. First album with Waylon. No shade against Waylon. He's a great vocalist. There's some great songs on here, but the production is fucking garbage. The album cover is fucking garbage. The whole thing, just when I ordered it, I had to order it from the US, I think. It came with like a crappy holographic cover, which was fucking garbage. The booklet just looked like shit. Everything inside it looked like really badly photoshopped. All the lyrics were just like, it's just shit. It was terrible. And the CD looks absolutely fucking dreadful. I was just like, what is this shit? You know what I mean? Considering how amazing both XX and 13 looked. Yeah, I know they were on a much smaller label now, but fuck, it just looked terrible. It looked like a demo. It was just looked like shit. And I was like, what happened to my band that I loved? What happened? Look how they massacred my boy. But yeah, I mean, the sound as well, it's got this weird hollowness to it. It's just got all the fucking life sucked out of it. Just like Beautiful Stories. The guitars are hollow. The bass is audible, but it's hollow. The keyboards are really tinny, even though they're pretty cool on this album. The keyboards are still pretty good. Schmotz is still killing it on this record. Drums, probably one of the only things that sound okay, even though the snare drum is a little bit irritating. I just don't understand why it was mixed this way. I really don't get it. It just makes no sense to me at all whatsoever. So, I don't know. I can't. It's mixed by the guy, Bill Koricki. Is that how you say his name? I don't know how to say this name, but that guy did all the old stuff as well, right? So he did like all the classic stuff. There's a proper heft to that. So why they went this direction, it must have been an artistic choice. I have no idea. But yeah, it is not very good. However, there are some stunning songs on here. Simple Survival, even though when I first heard it, I basically hated it. Simple Survival is a doozy. Save Us is a doozy. Erase the Doubt is just amazing. I don't really know what the hell is going on in Erase the Doubt, but it's a bit of a strange vibe, but I love that one. Burn is great. Just Pretending is great. Cut Me, The Fall, and Embrace the Ending. There's some good songs here. It's just that the album looks and sounds like shit. I'm sorry to say. I hate to dump on one of my favourite bands, but this and Beautiful Stories, which is even worse, it's just, I feel like I've gone hard on Save Your Sorrow. But yeah, Beautiful Stories is even worse. Both these albums are not very good at all. Number 8 is The Righteous and the Butterfly, a slight return to form in my eyes. Because you got J Man back in there, you got some new members, a bit of new blood, a bit of a shot in the arm. It's a bit of a fucking, mixed bag. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of stuff crammed into this. You got Jackie LaPonza on a track. You've got, I can't think who's that guy. The guy from 10,000 Cadillacs, is it? He's on the track as well. Oh man, what's that guy's name? I forgot. I'm a terrible person. But he's on another track. You've got J Man, you've got Waylon, you've got Jeffrey. It is carnage. But there are some good songs. Again, the production is just like, why can't you just fill it out and make it sound huge? It sounds so hollow. Our Apologies is amazing. I love that. It's super catchy. I love QWERTY, obviously. That song really gave Mushroomhead a second wind, I think. Most definitely. Out of My Mind is pretty good as well. I hate the fucking Adele cover. Rumor has it is just not good. But yeah, I mean, there's some good tracks here. It's not as terrible as the other albums. This is more of a mixed quality. It's a return to form in some regards, and it's also more of the same in other regards. Again, the artwork is absolutely atrocious. It is literally a Photoshop car crash. It is the most bullshit thing I've ever seen in my life. The logo looks squashed. It has this terrible 3D embossed effects on it. That fucking butterfly with the skulls in it. Jesus fucking goddamn Christ, that is bad. Like, I know the meaning behind the album. The butterfly. I know who the butterfly is. I know who the Righteous is, as in JJ. I know who those people are. I know the name of that album, and I mean no disrespect in any way, shape, or form. My problem is not with the album, but the album's title. I think that's a beautiful name for an album, considering the weight behind it. But that fucking cover is absolutely garbage. Absolute trash. Come on, who makes your album covers, guys? Because that is not good. Who signed off on that? That is fucking, like, high school level Photoshop garbage. I mean that in the nicest way. I'm trashing Mushroomhead. I know I'm going to just take a moment because I'm trashing them. Fuck. I love this guy. I love these guys and girl. I love them. They're fucking so good. So I mean this out of love. That album cover is terrible. Please. Number 7 then is the latest effort, A Wonderful Life. Again, I was primed to hate this because Jeffrey Nothing, went the way of the dodo and he left the group. And the terms on which Jeffrey left kind of echo the terms on which, Waylon left, with really bad terms. A lot of people seem to be falling out with Mushroomhead in a big way. And all the other guys, I won't go into all of it, as well, the other members as well have left it on similar bad terms. And I was just like, you know what, I think I'm done with Mushroomhead or Skinny and Friends right now. But this album came out and it was fucking great. I'm not gonna lie to you, it sounds amazing. The production is thick and huge, and the songs really hit with like massive like power. The Steve Rockhurst, the guy who replaced Jeffrey Nothing, is an incredible vocalist. He is one of the most versatile vocalists the band has had. Obviously, Jeff and J Man always kind of played off each other. They complement each other in what the other can't do, and they excel in other ways. Whereas Steve Rockhurst is more like Waylon in that he's more of a well-rounded vocalist. He's really talented, and he has a lot of different ways of singing. And so when they came out with Seen It All, loved that, because he kind of sounds like Jeff, but also kind of sounds like his own thing, which is really good. It's a really good first first single. And, this is a really long album. It's a really long album. There's a lot on here, and there's a lot of different vibes. But I really like the song "What a Shame." Kind of got that QWERTY vibe going on, but it's a little darker. Again, this is a kind of a dark album. I find M3 to be their darkest album, but this has got pretty dark vibes on it. I really love the it's the outro to the standard version, but I listen to this on Spotify, and it's like probably about 2/3 through the track list on there, and it's Confutatis. It's like the really operatic, really insane, kind of weird, like synths and operatic sounds and classical sounds. And I'm glad they've really stepped up on the the keyboard elements of things, because since Schmott's left, that's kind of floundered. And A Wonderful Life it really is a return to form. You know what I mean? It's a band that has evolved now, probably beyond recognition, but it's a fucking good album. I can't deny that, and I won't deny that. This is a good album. I recommend it to anyone really who's got like a alt rock kind of new metal kind of flair that would enjoy this. Then get stuck in. It's well worth checking out. In 6th place is the Remix CD. So I'll talk about Remix and Remix 2000. They're basically the same, but one of them's got like a couple of videos on it and some extra tracks. So this thing has got some, I love the remixes because I've really spent so much time in the old Mushroomhead stuff when I was a teenager that hearing alternative versions of those songs was something that I really liked. I love the gravy mix of Snap. It's basically, if you compare Mushroomhead's self-titled version of episode 29 to the XX version of episode 29, which originally appeared here, they do the same thing with Snap. You get that intense gravy death metal kind of guitar over the top of it. I don't think Gravy was a member at this point because it says Gravy appears courtesy of 216. So, Gravy was originally playing with his brother in 216 before he joined Mushroomhead, I think. I'm not a Mushroomhead historian by any stretch. So just a quick more things to call out here. The Mommy. I say Mummy because I'm fucking English, Welsh. Yeah, I'm not English. I'm from the UK. What am I talking about? I'm not English. I'm fucking Welsh. My head is gone. The Malfunction mix of Mommy is just amazing. It's so spooky, ethereal, love it. I love the Fuck Like Pigs mix of Second Thoughts. That's really weird too. The Skin mix of Elevation is just weird. I love the Hand of Solo version of The Wrist, in which the piano line, that really spooky kind of piano line from The Wrist, is expanded on with lovely twinkling. It's turned into a full song all on its own. And I also love the Nord version of Womp. So this is the version of Womp that you got on the secret track of the Eclipse pressing of XX. You also get it here as the closing track, Nord mix. I love the J-Man's vocals are re-recorded on this. He's like, ha ta, blah, ta. He's kind of got more of a drawl to it, rather than the shouted kind of rap that he did on the original. So yeah, this has got some amazing remixes on it. But I'm rating it high because it's got all my favorite songs altered in different ways. If you're new to Mushroomhead, remix is probably the last place you should be looking. It's also millions of different versions of this. I got Remix 2000 on CD, the 2002 Filthy Hands press, and it's worth 30-odd quid now, which is pretty cool. But you've got these box sets of it on cassette. You can get a vinyl version, picture discs. They got the old 1996 vinyl versions as well. Mushroomhead Remix is one of the more collectible items, I think, of the Mushroomhead discography. It's one for the diehard fans, most definitely. In 5th place, and I'm loath to rate this so low, and I say low like that because it's halfway up the ranking, but from this point, every album is literally fucking flawless. In 5th place, we have 13 from 2003. So this was the first album that they did, new on a major label. XX was more or less a compilation of sorts, so when they did their first album, fresh with brand new songs on a major label, this is what we got. It's very polished. It's their biggest and most consistent sounding record with some really, really cool production on here. It's really chunky. That the 7-string guitars really just crunch and make this amazing kind of sound to it. The two of the tracks have a different producer. It's a different session. I think it was Sun Doesn't Rise and Nowhere to Go. I think those were the singles they were pushing. So Universal like had them mixed by, is it Johnny K, the guy who did like Disturbed albums and stuff? Nowhere to Go, you can tell is a different session. It kind of stands out on the album. Whereas Sun Doesn't Rise, I think, blends in perfectly. Sun Doesn't Rise is like literally the perfect Mushroomhead song condensed into like, how quick, give me a hit of Mushroomhead now, boom. It is the perfect song, bang. And of course it was on the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack, so it's also probably the most well-known song, I would say, with good reason. It's a really good song. The music video is a bit shit, but you know, it's a good song. Kill Tomorrow, one of the best songs that Mushroomhead have. Just before I even go through some of these songs, I just want to say that 13, I think, is where Jeff Hetrick, as in Jeffrey Nothing, I think this is where he peaked vocally. His performance on this album is his best performance. It is really, really good. His voice sounds absolutely fantastic. I think it really just kind of gelled. He really, I think I read an interview with him at the time, and he really pushed himself for this album, and it just really worked with the production and the style of the songs on this album. You know, so basically, compare this to Save Your Sorrow and how hollow and weird that is. They were at a high on 13, you know, everything was just amazing. The song Mother Machine Gun, never played live, one of my favorite Mushroomhead songs. Love that like riff. It's like it's really like really basic, but it's so heavy. It's, again, Jeff's chorus is amazing. J-Man's vocals are amazing. Becoming Cold is amazing. I don't like One More Day, I'll be honest with you. Not really a fan of that, nor am I a fan of The Dream Is Over, with the fella from Sugar on it. But then from that point onwards, it's just banger after banger. The War Inside, Almost Gone, Eternal. And then that closing trio, or quad of Our Own Eternal. Our Own Way is beautiful. It's a really good song. I love that. You could close the album with Our Own Way. It's such a grand song with J-Man like chanting "Arise" like that, and it's amazing. I want to quickly dwell on the 8-minute epic at the end of this thing, Destroy the World Around Me. People sleep on this fucking thing. It's not your typical new metal end of album massive song that's like 8 to 10 minutes long. It is, I think it's a combination of two tracks, isn't it? So originally the songs were Destroy and The World Around Me, and they put it together to become Destroy the World Around Me. It's got like proper like militaristic themes. To start with, the feel is really heavy, and Jay's bits at the beginning are like super heavy, and then it kind of sprawls and falls out, and Jeff comes in, and Jeff takes the rest of it, and he just fucking takes it into the stratosphere. The vocal performance from Jeffrey Nothing on Destroy the World Around Me, that is his peak right there. That is it. That is the best vocal performance on record of Jeffrey Hetrick. It is amazing. And he also got the Seal cover of Crazy, which is just, yeah, after all that serious, heavy, like huge songs, you get Crazy to kind of just, you know, you get 13 to lull you, and then you get Crazy with this amazing fun cover, which sounds amazing, absolutely amazing. The UK bonus track is a song called Treason. I don't know if that's on the Spotify version, so I don't know if anyone from other parts of the world has heard it, but there's a song called Treason, and it sounds absolutely amazing because it's different. It's this electronica. It's just Jeff. I think it's just Jeff. I don't know who's doing the sounds, but it's all electronic sounds, electronic drums, some weird samples, and it's just Jeff singing, and it's a really cool song. It's unlike anything else on 13. And also, I think at the time, you had some copies had like a link that you could follow on like an interactive multimedia CD, and it would take you online to a second version of Simpleton, Simpleton from the first album. There's like a re-recorded version of it in 2003, with this lineup, and it's really frantic and really, really interesting. So, yeah, I've waffled on this one, but this was one of my favorites as a teenager. So, just want to get a lot covered there for that one. In fourth place is 1995's Mushroomhead self-titled record. It is where do I start with this? It is literally an acid trip. You know, as the opening song promises you, we're now going into the world of the LSD user. This is all over the place. This is just carnage. There's so much weird shit going on here. The track Mommy has like these weird, like, incestuous lyrics. The track Ego Trip is just a J-Man banger. It sounds it's so fucking, it just rips. It's so heavy. The original versions of Too Much Nothing and 43 are fantastic. I love Indifferent. It's one of my favorite Mushroomhead songs. It's perfect in the way that Jay and Jeff just kind of play off each other. I love the weird kind of retro synthesizer sounds. You know, I also love, like, it almost sounds like a demo, the way it's kind of got a rough edge to it, especially the way that Skinny's drums sound. You know, but everything else kind of sounds really really good. I'm not knocking Skinny's drum sound. I love the, like, rehearsal room kind of sound to it. It's really, really cool. I love the Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me sample at the end of Elevation. I'm a huge fan of Twin Peaks. It's literally one of my favorite things ever. And, you know, obviously I heard this years, I had this CD when I was like 12 years old. I heard this, you know, way before I knew what Twin Peaks was. And that really disturbing sample, it's at the end of Slow Thing, sorry, and it leads into Elevation. It's a really, really crazy sample, and I always wondered what it was. Is this woman going, "Dad, is the engine on fire?" And it's just like this huge, like, hurricane and tornado of sound, and I always wondered what that was, and then I saw Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, and my mind was blown. But yeah, there's a lot of weird samples, really odd, bizarre themes going on throughout this entire thing. It's probably up there with Remix as being quite inaccessible, and it's probably not a good place to start. And they were still finding their feet at this point. But there's some really good songs on here. I really like the intermission, like, conversation at the end of Intermission is really funny. And they have, like, a compilation at the end where a lot of the songs in different mixes are chained together, and that's really cool as well. In third place is M3. Now, at this point, any of these can be number one, and it's really difficult to rate that. M3 is the darkest album Mushroomhead did. There's kind of like a transitional period for the band. It's just before they got picked up by the majors, you know, and went in a, you know, slightly different direction. They lost a few members around this time as well, so it was a transitional area. I don't really know why this album is so dark. You know, if you compare it to the carnival kind of colourful vibes of Superbuick and Mushroomhead self-titled, why is M3 so dark? I don't know, but there's some dark themes on here. Before I Die, it's just like, you know, man, that song is dark. All the lyrical content on here, the New Cult King, Solitaire Unraveling, and Inevitable, Conflict, The Argument Goes On. These are very, like, not macabre as in, you know, oh, death metal, I'm gonna cut you up into bits. It's macabre as in, like, the outlook on life is really bleak now. It's a very bleak album, 100%. Like, it seems the band matured lyrically, and that's not to say the lyrics previously were bad, because, you know, they're very cryptic and very poetic and very interesting. You know, but here, there's a lot of darkness here. A lot of darkness. It's very bleak. You know, and there seems to be a lot of conflict and strife are the themes of the songs here. I absolutely love Inevitable. It's got like a really watery kind of, you know, compressed MP3 sound to the production, but it's really unusual. The guitar sound is, again, on the entire album, is really dry, but it's really chuggy and really heavy. You also got Scott Edgell, I don't know how you say his name. He does vocals on the New Cult King and the excellent The Final Act. I love the Conflict, The Argument Goes On mix. I love how much the bass pops through. Really heavy, clanking bass. It sounds absolutely amazing. I love the keyboards on Exploiting Your Weakness. Kind of almost has like an ancient Egyptian kind of theme, and it goes like so sorry, you have to put up with these terrible, like, oral impressions of how I find things are on the record. But this is dark, but it's solid. This is one of, you know, the next three are all just bangers in regards to positions 3, 2, and 1 on the list. But this, every single song from start to finish is just flawless. Absolutely flawless in every way possible. And of course, you got the bonus track, Dark and Evil Joe. Gonna stab you in your neck, which is just hilarious. So that's worth checking up as well. Amazing. So yeah, I mean, what's next? Number 2. We're getting to the top, so let's wrap this up. Number 2 is Superbuick, which is again another flawless album, start to finish, unstoppable, cannot be faulted in any way, shape, or form. Although, tiny caveat is that some of the vocals are mixed a bit low. I don't know if that's because I heard the double X mixes first, but things seem a little bit mixed weirdly here, but that's fine. 1996, considering how much progress the band had made between 1995's self-titled to this, is just astounding. The musical leaps are just incredible. Never Let It Go, one of the best songs ever written in the history of time. It's weird. What is that keyboard sound? Dang. What is that? It's so bizarre. It's kind of irritating how it stabs through, but at the same time, the song would be incomplete without it. It wouldn't be right to not have that in there. It's such a pickled fucking choice. Like, why would you put that on? And yet it works so well. Same with These Filthy Hands. The keyboard in there, the piano just cuts through the mix. It just stabs you in the eyes, and it's like, why am I listening to this? But it's so good. The songs are just amazing. The wrist, not so much there. The wrist is more of the piano kind of fits more naturally into the wrist and kind of leads the song. Amazing. Cankersaw. What is Cankersaw? How weird is Cankersaw? What's it? Cankersaw. Love you like a matador. Life is just a metaphor. I can't remember the lyrics off the top of my head, but amazing. Like, it's just that repeated over and over again. Really unusual song. Flattened is one of my favorite songs of all time. How Flattened didn't make it on to Double X, I will never know, because Flattened is, again, it's up there with Destroy the World Around Me in regards to Jeff's vocals. They are incredible. They sound amazing. He sounds amazing. The song is just, the layers of his voice, the bass playing is just, that rattling, horrible bass sounds absolutely fantastic. Schmotz's keyboards are out of this world. They got Big Brother, which is just weird as fuck, and Idol Worship is sinister as hell, all distorted and like proper blown out, and just kind of goes out on a bang, and then you got like Fear Hell Dear wrapping things up, Unintended, and then Bwomp, like the wrapped bit to Bwomp at the end. I didn't even mention Bwomp really. I'll get into that now in a minute in a different capacity. So yeah, it would be number 1 and I am biased with my number 1, but this is a personal listing. So moving on to number 1, then it is the only one remaining. It is Double X. The reason Double X is number 1 for me is that it was the first album I ever heard of this band. It takes what are arguably the best tracks from those 3 albums I just mentioned, Mushroomhead, Superbuick, and M3, and it puts them into a compilation, because all those albums were released locally in Cleveland by the band themselves, and this album was released internationally by Eclipse Records, and then eventually by Universal Records. This kind of was the first experience for Mushroomhead, for a lot of people, myself included. A lot of the songs, I think only some of the songs were remixed or even re-recorded on the Eclipse version. On the Universal version, however, the entire album was remixed. All the songs were remixed. The remaster is a bit more consistent across the entire thing. A bit of a bigger sound to everything. Again, like I said, just like 13, they got the budget to really push that. I'm pretty sure they were remastered as well. So yeah, I mean, you've got Womp, Before I Die, Solitaire Unravel, and Filthy Hands, Never Let It Go. It's just bangers. It's got all the songs that you love from the first 3, but they're in an order. And it was the first time I experienced them. This entire thing just flows like in such a beautiful way, and it sounds amazing. The version of 43 on here is just incredible. I loved like the vibe. The album cover is just like really weird. It's just a picture of the band, and they're all dressed in these like black jumpsuits, and it's just like such a refreshing take on what we called new metal back then. Even though they kind of predate new metal, Mushroomhead, but it's an amazing album, and I can't really go into the songs because I've covered them on M3 and Superbuick and on the Mushroomhead self-titled, but the Universal version, particularly for me, with its bigger production, not to shit on the Eclipse version, that for me is Mushroomhead. That's what I found. That's how I got into them, you know. And yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. It's my favorite. You can get this for fucking pennies. If you don't, you know, if you're more of an old school head, you don't want to look this up on Spotify or whatever, you can buy it for like £1. You know what I mean? There's so many of these fucking albums made that you could just get it really cheap, and it sounds amazing. It is just one of the best, one of my favorite albums of all time. So yeah, that's why it's number one. So thank you so much for listening. This has been creeping up to 30 minutes now, so I'm going to knock it on the head. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next video. Let me know what your favorite Mushroomhead, if you're a Mushroomhead fan, just drop me a message and let me know what your favorite records are, and you know, I'm gonna go from there. Yeah, so take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. All the best now. Cheers.